ABBA is more than pop music. It's a cultural phenomenon. Their sparkling tunes, timeless harmonies, and unforgettable performances have made them one of the most beloved bands in history.
Chiquitita, tell me what's wrong.
But behind the glittering stage lights and that perfect pop veneer, there has always been another story. One of pressure, heartbreak, and emotional tolls that were all too real. Now, Bjorn Ulvaeus, co-founder, primary songwriter, and the quietly tormented backbone of ABBA, is finally lifting the curtain.
I rewrote the verses a little, and also in another song called My Love, My Life.
At nearly 80 years old, Bjorn has spoken more candidly than ever before about the truths that many fans never saw. The broken relationships, the creative exhaustion, and the price of global fame. This is not just a confession, it's a reckoning. The awful truth behind the band's greatest hits, the real weight of being in ABBA, and what it cost him, emotionally, personally, forever. 1. The crushing weight of fame. Bjorn Ulvaeus didn't just help write ABBA's music, he helped write its history. But with sky-high success came an emotional price. In interviews, he's admitted that the relentless pressures of touring, recording, and maintaining a perfect public image were more exhausting than he ever let on. You see the glamour, he said, but very few see the loneliness of hotel rooms or the exhaustion of being on stage, night after night. The band's smiles and upbeat melodies masked the private burdens each member carried. In the early days, Ulvaeus and his partners struggled to reconcile their personal lives with the image the world demanded. Bjorn's fame came with a schedule so punishing that he often felt unmoored from himself. In the same interview, he admitted that behind the scenes, they were dealing with personal turmoil, strain that didn't just threaten the band's unity, but their very identities. For a man who believed in the power of collaboration, the success of ABBA felt like a gilded cage. 2. The marriage that inspired heartbreak. No ABBA story is complete without revisiting Bjorn's relationship with Agnetha Fältskog. Their marriage was not only a personal love story, it shaped much of the emotional core in the band's music. But Bjorn has revealed that the intense public scrutiny and relentless pressure were constant obstacles. He described how being away from home, dealing with fame, and navigating media attention gradually chipped at their relationship. Their love was real, but as time went on, they grew apart. We were both very young, he remembered, and we could not balance our personal needs with the machine that ABBA had become. Bjorn also admitted that the narrative around some of their biggest hits, songs like The Winner Takes It All, has been misinterpreted by fans. While many assumed it was a direct reflection of their divorce, he clarified that the song was fictionalized, inspired by heartache, but not a literal retelling of their personal separation. Still, the emotional weight was undeniable. He carried guilt, complexity, and regret in ways few knew. 3. Creative burnout and emotional exhaustion. To the world, ABBA always seemed joyful, upbeat, and brilliantly polished. But Bjorn says the reality was far more conflicted. In recent interviews, he's opened up about how emotional exhaustion crept into their creative process. There were moments, he said, when the band was so drained that making music felt like survival. The endless cycle of press appearances, album deadlines, and tour demands left the members physically and mentally depleted. He called parts of creating Voyage a sort of emotional resurrection, confronting old wounds and memories, while still striving to deliver something meaningful. Bjorn admitted that at times they were physically drained, mentally exhausted, and emotionally worn out. It wasn't just about being successful. It was about holding themselves together, pretending the band's perfect image matched the chaos in their private lives. 4. The divorce that echoed in song. Arguably, the most personal confession Bjorn made was about his divorce from Agnetha. Though they divorced in 1979, he revealed that the emotional fallout continued to influence ABBA's music long after. He has said that their breakup was not simply a business decision, but a deep emotional fracture. The constant pressure of fame and their divergent personalities gradually eroded the connection they once shared. Bjorn admitted they tried to talk, marital therapy, honest communication. but eventually recognized that they were no longer the same people who fell in love. 5. The awful truth behind the end of ABBA. When Bjorn finally speaks of the awful truth, he's talking about more than just individual heartbreak. He's referring to the emotional cost of the band's success. The breaking point wasn't one single event. It was a slow unraveling of relationships, identities, and mental well-being. He admitted that the personal struggles within ABBA, the divorces, the media pressure, the endless work, made it harder to continue as a fully united group. The emotional toll, he said, eventually made it almost impossible to keep the music alive while our hearts were breaking. 6. A new chapter. Love, age, and redemption. Bjorn's personal life has continued to evolve. In 2024, he married Christina Sass, who is almost 30 years younger than him. He admitted to being troubled by the age gap at first, wrestling with doubts and societal expectations. Yet in a surprising twist, he says he gave up over worrying about the difference. To him, love became a courageous act, not just forgiving age, but prioritizing connection over convention. This revelation is not just about a marriage. It's about healing, acceptance, and moving beyond the weight of the past. 7. Legacy, doubt, and the burden of immortality. Even after decades, Bjorn says it's hard to grasp the full extent of ABBA's legacy. He has called their journey a European idea, drawing on chanson, folk traditions, and pop's purest instincts, which makes their longevity feel both magical and surreal. He reflects honestly on how their songs have touched millions, yet confesses he sometimes feels disconnected from what ABBA became. For a creator, that kind of emotional distance can be both blessing and curse. Beloved, but never entirely at peace. 8. Songs as confessionals, writing through pain. One of the most revealing aspects of Bjorn's confession is how his songwriting became a lifeline during the darkest times. Rather than retreat, he leaned into music. When the personal chaos grew too heavy, he turned to lyrics, melody, and collaboration for clarity. He shared that some of ABBA's later songs, ones fans later called melancholy, mature, introspective, were born from emotional exhaustion. Tracks like One of Us or The Day Before You Came weren't just pop hits. They were songs of farewell, of introspection, and of the painful cost of long-term success. 9. Acknowledging the scars, honoring the fans. In his most candid moments, Bjorn acknowledges that ABBA's fans deserve the full story, the joy, the heartbreak, and everything in between. He said he doesn't want the legend to be sanitized. The scars, he believes, are part of what made ABBA real. He admitted to regret, not for creating beautiful music, but for the pain that worked behind it. He hopes fans understand that their favorite songs came from complex lives, struggles, and moments of vulnerability. 10. Moving forward. Legacy, purpose, and redemption. So where does Bjorn go from here? He doesn't sugarcoat the reality. The band's history is messy, the hurt is real, and the fame came at a cost. But he's not bitter, he's reflective. He speaks of future projects not with regret, but with purpose. He's exploring writing through theater, through AI, and through stories that transcend ABBA, yet honor its impact. In interviews, he has also expressed willingness to embrace innovation while preserving humanity. Bjorn Ulvaeus' revelations are not about tarnishing ABBA's legacy. They are about honesty. They are about human fragility behind global success. He has confirmed the awful truth. ABBA's story is not only one of triumph, but of pain, love, loss, and redemption. It's not just a pop band, it's a shared human journey. For fans, this confession is both sobering and beautiful. It invites us to listen not only with nostalgia, but with empathy. Bjorn's words remind us that even legends are people, and their greatest songs often come from their greatest wounds.